With me this hour, Danny Ayalon is the former Israeli ambassador to the United States and the former deputy foreign minister as well. Good to see you, Danny. Thank you for being with us. We're also joined from Manama, Bahrain tonight by Abdulla Aljunaid, Bahariani columnist and geopolitical analyst. Great to see you as well, Abdulla. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
So, Danny, I'll start with you. An Egyptian official has confirmed that a Hamas delegation will indeed be in Cairo tomorrow. But the 2 points of difference on the negotiations: how long will the ceasefire last, and how many Palestinian prisoners should be released? Can those positions be brought together?
Right now we see that there's a big discrepancy between the Israeli position and the Hamas position. Hamas is playing a very cruel, I would say, psychological warfare. I mean, banking on the fact that the hostages and lives are so important for all Israelis. They bank on increased pressure on the government, but it seems like now they find a government which is not quite inclined to yield to public pressure. We have Smotrich and Ben Gvir who have said right out that they will not take a deal which concludes the operation in Gaza, or nor the massive release of Palestinian terrorists in Israeli jail. So how do you square the circle? I think that right now Hamas is putting the toughest position possible so it can come down, because the two things they cannot get. Hamas cannot get the removal of the IDF from Gaza and all the prisoners out of jail. So I think at the end of the day, the prisoners will be the chip on the table to negotiate, which is the only slack we have is with the numbers. And I think this is what we should look at: how many will be released.
All right, let me bring in Abdulla Aljunaid. I mean, Hamas wants the release of thousands of security prisoners. That would be many, many more than were freed in exchange for the soldier Gilad Shalit.
Well, to start with, good evening and greeting to, again, Danny. We becoming the usual suspect whenever there is a topic to be discussed.
We can do a dog and pony show, Abdullah.
No, Danny. Let's keep it the way it is. I agree totally with Danny. I mean, at the present time, everybody is playing the physiological attrition game. And unfortunately, it is the hostages and, again, the rising toll of the Palestinian death number. And unfortunately, this is going to continue being milked by Hamas as long as possible. And we have to find a way around that. If Israel is willing to entertain possibilities, and I believe a lot of things is taking part at the present time with direct and indirect talks, and even with the Hamas delegation in Cairo tomorrow, let's hope at least we don't have a total failure of the Paris meeting. So let's hope that something do materialize soon.
And Abdullah, what are they hoping for in the moderate Gulf countries? Is it a prolonged ceasefire? Is it the destruction of Hamas? What are they betting on here?
Are we moderate or just normal?
Yes, well, both.
Okay, put it this way. I mean, we already stated where we stand from all fundamental Islamic parties or movement or agenda since 2013. Now, it took you until the 7th of October to realize that those people can't be trusted. We already stated where we stand, and we took the measure that need to be taken. And look what the Saudis and UAE, Bahrain, and the rest of the GCC is. And we did the same, helping the Egyptian, handling them during the 2013. So we stood fast and we addressed this threat there and then. Now, you chose to stand with the American and playing games again. And look what happened. You end up paying the high price.
Okay. Danny Ayalon, I mean, isn't Israel just storing up trouble for the future if it releases thousands of hardened prisoners, former terrorists, and withdraws permanently from Gaza?
Well, we have gone through this exercise twice or three times before, with Gilad Shalit, and even before that, we had what is called the Ahmed Jibril deal, where also there were thousands of Palestinian terrorists released for like a number, only handful of Israeli soldiers. So there's not much appetite here to do that, because now we also have the experience showing that those prisoners that have been released went back to the terrorist cycle. So I think Israel's position will be very tough on that, and it may, if I can let's say, try to think how the government thinks, they may give in the days for ceasefire, more days for ceasefire, for less prisoners released.
Okay, Abdullah, what about the role of Qatar in all of this? The Egyptians edging them out somewhat, or are they still at the center, and can Israel trust Qatar?
Well, put it this way, Qatar, unfortunately, will stand accountable for its role. It went into this deal with both eyes open. It knows exactly the consequences of this such eventual thing happen, and it did happen. And unfortunately, now the Qataris will have to continue pushing and exerting as much as possible diplomacy and by other means try to help end this crisis. Now, forcing or using the maximum tools it has over Hamas is one thing. Again, we also need to bring in the international community, need to bring in other tools, is by identifying Hamas finance sources and impose sanctions. And we all know where this money is.